I mean, ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust, people aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for: freedom, liberty, justice for all, and it's not happening for all right now.
His biceps to celebrate a touchdown, now sits as a backup and kneels for what he believes in.
And this. And this.
You shot 4 bullets into him, sir. He was just getting his license and registration, sir.
Which give rise to this. Black Lives Matter is a hashtag, a rallying cry, a movement. And it lies directly at the intersection of race relations and deadly force in America. So here's the situation. The US government doesn't keep an official count of shootings by law enforcement, but an ongoing Washington Post tally identified 990 fatal shootings by law enforcement in 2015. Of the 93 unarmed civilians killed by police in these cases, more than 40% were black, despite the fact that black people make up 13% of the nation's population. In 1992, when Los Angeles police officers were acquitted over the beating of black cab driver Rodney King, there was anger, there were riots, but there was no movement. Today, the difference is social media. But how did this movement start? In 2012, Trayvon Martin was gunned down by George Zimmerman, who wasn't a cop, but a neighborhood watch volunteer who claimed he shot Martin in self-defense. After Zimmerman's acquittal in 2013, the phrase Black Lives Matter debuted as a hashtag on Twitter and at signs on protest rallies around the nation. It reemerged in a big way a year later, when Michael Brown was shot by Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson, and a protest freedom ride to Ferguson took place under the Black Lives Matter banner. More than 500 people from 18 cities attended, and in August of 2014, the hashtag Black Lives Matter was used more than 52,000 times. Now here's the argument. Especially following the shootings of police officers during a protest march in Dallas, the Black Lives Matter movement is spilling over to being an election issue, although not a clear-cut one. While Hillary Clinton is staunchly in favor of the Black Lives Matter movement, she hasn't impressed the movement's leaders. Protesters disrupted a Clinton speech at a private fundraiser, as well as a speech by her husband, former President Bill Clinton.
I love protesters, except when they won't let you answer.
On the other side, Donald Trump isn't favored much either.
You're going to hear it once. All lives matter.
Trump has been critical of the Black Lives Matter protesters and has said police are, quote, the most mistreated people in this country.
And unfortunately, if it isn't happening, the only way we get to know folks of color is via media. So stars on the one hand, or criminals on the other hand. Those are the black folks we typically see on TV. They're either like mega millionaire athletes or entertainers, or they're the folks doing a perp walk on the 6 o'clock news that the cops have just gone arrested and haven't even let them put a shirt on before cuffing them and bringing them out in front of the cameras. If the only people you see regularly are superstar millionaires and thugs, for the average person, they can't relate to either of those, right? The average person of color can't, and the average white person can't either. Barack Obama or Bill Cosby or Oprah Winfrey or a handful of people of color, we're able to get to know them, or at least we think we know them, via media. But for average everyday white folks and for average everyday black and brown folks, the ability to really get to know each other and overcome those implicit biases is a lot more rare.
You don't have to stop tweeting. You don't have to abandon social media. Just ask yourself these questions before you post. Am I okay with this existing forever? Am I okay with this being read by anyone? Am I okay with this being used to profile who I am? If so, post away. Enjoy social media responsibly.
Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness. And all of the other shallow things will not matter. Those who say to me, stick to civil rights, I have another answer. Others can do what they want to do. That's their business. Other civil rights religious leaders, for various reasons, refuse or can't take a stand or have to go along with the administration, that's their business. But I'm a free man.